Hello and welcome to episode number 2 of The Great Pretenders. And the NFL in this offseason in particular moves fast and furious just like the film series. And it has been a lot of changes that we've seen around the league since last we were here. And speaking of changes, the alignment for today is going to be a little bit different for today's lineup for The Great Pretenders. John is here from last week, same as last time. But instead of Robbie, who will be back, he's not gone forever, is the fourth of our great pretenders, Matt. Matt, introduce yourself. Give us your team, and how are you doing, bud?
Doing okay. Could be a lot better.
Now, why is that?
That's because I'm a Seahawks fan, so we're kind of going through it right now. Um, you know, uh, I've it's not been an ideal off season.
Well, the end of an era does happen to all of us, just a bit earlier in this case than probably you were expecting for Russell Wilson.
The rumors were there. They're kind of flying around. It was a thought that I had. It was a fear that I had that it might happen. I never actually believed it would, but and then it did. And wow, oh,
Yeah, that's fine.
edit
No,
that
that's
out.
fine. Hey, no, that's fine. Listen.
Sorry.
It's the beauty of live TV,
Sucks.
folks.
It sucks. All right, it sucks. Pardon my French.
Yeah. Hey,
Don't demonetize this YouTube.
listen. It's
Not
fine.
that
All
it's
right.
monetized anyway, but yeah,
It'll
no,
it'll be
it's
like it'll
look,
be the needle in the haystack on this video. You're fine.
yeah. Just don't find the one F bomb. It sucks real bad. Not feeling good about how this went down.
Well, I didn't think it was real either, and I do. It sucks that you weren't able to be here for the first one because it would have been good to
Oh
get your
man,
take
I
on
wish
things
I
at
wish
the
I was
time.
here last week because that was the day that it happened. So you could have gotten I like the day that it happened, dude. I was not in a good mood.
No, I can't imagine. And again, I like that does suck because I've lost a quarterback before. I remember when Romo did his exit press conference with tears up when Prescott took over. But that was a little different because Prescott
A little different.
had
You had
played
your
well to that
replacement.
point.
You got your
Um,
replacement lined up immediately.
so
We
so
got nothing.
yeah, Drew
Like,
Lock.
stop.
It was sweet last week. I've been praying for their downfall.
Yeah, no, the Niners fans got their wish. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean this was John had to be like a kid in a candy
It
store
still
on that
feels
one.
surreal. Like, he held his first press conference in Denver today, and it felt, it
It
didn't
looked
feel,
wrong. And I'm
it
not even
looked
a Seahawks
wrong.
fan, and it didn't look right. Him with the
It
orange tie in
looks
front of the Broncos heads.
no.
It seemed like it was from a different universe.
Sure,
Was
his
it was
family. He looked like the president. It was a
he
very
does. He looks like a commissioner. Like, honestly,
Maybe that's his plan. Maybe that's why he always sits with Roger at the Super
I think
Bowls.
that is
That's
it is
probably
his
his plan.
play. It is his play. Honestly,
Maximize his Rolodex.
Yeah. And we've talked about it a little bit. I mean, Russell Wilson, I think, has become underrated at the NFL zeitgeist at this
which
point.
is just insane
I-
to me. I don't understand.
It's a perception thing. It's all perception because the Seahawks have been successful. So to the layman fan, that means the Seahawks are good. What really is happening is the Seahawks have a franchise transcendent quarterback that is able to keep the boat afloat. That's not going to be the case anymore. But I do want to say that I do think that the Seahawks free agent signings today, at the time of this recording, of course, have been pretty good. Uchenna Nwosu from the Chargers. It was a 2 years, $20 million, correct?
Yeah, 2 years 20. I think 10.5 million guaranteed.
Yeah, I think that's a good deal. Nwosu's a young guy, and
agree.
for a team that needed a pass rusher, I think that's not a bad signing at all.
Desperately needed pass rush. So
You got
this is a
Austin
really good
Blythe,
deal.
who's a passable center from the Chiefs. I mean, passable, that's an upgrade in Seattle on the O-line.
It is
So,
passable is certainly an upgrade because
yeah. And you're interviewing
Yeah.
Trent Brown, and if his Titanic frame can play, that's a massive upgrade over your right tackle. So
massive. Or
Yeah.
left tackle. I think we might not bring Dwayne back if we can get Trent Brown.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure Dwayne Brown was there when they were drawing up the gridiron for the first time, so it may be time to move on
Yeah.
from him as your tackle.
He may have been even fighting in the Second World War.
Breaking essentially right after the first of one of these went up was the next big quarterback trade to have occurred. And that was when Carson Wentz got traded to the Washington Commanders from the Indianapolis Colts. And the team swapped second round picks with Indianapolis getting the higher one. The Colts got a third round pick, and the Colts also got a conditional third round pick that will become a second rounder if Wentz plays 75% of the snaps, I believe. Same as what the Colts deal was this season. And I'm looking for an angle on this guy. It's trying to remove NFC East bias as the big Cowboys fan here, but it's just a bad trade. I really don't have any other way to put this.
This is horrendous.
Wentz
Good for
is.
the Colts though for rectifying their mistake.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh yeah,
Colts,
yeah. No, I mean we're all
Ballard absolved all his sins.
big Chris Ballard fans here. We like good GM moves here, and it was disappointing to watch him make a play for Carson Wentz last season. A little inside baseball here, folks. The Great Pretender's name here, it has to do with an old '50s song of the same name called The Great Pretender that we would kind of use as a meme for Carson Wentz and his failings, because we've never thought here that he was anything special. He had the one good season, but overall it felt vastly overrated. And so to see the Great Pretender traded again. In his career, Carson Wentz has been traded for something like 3 first-round picks, a second, like 4 fourths, or 4 threes, and a fourth. He just keeps getting passed around at this high-value rate, and he's just not impressive to me.
It's wild, dude. Like I don't get it. Where the value for him is.
I mean, is he the worst quarterback in the NFL? No, but is he bottom third? Certainly. And I guess teams are trying to find 2017, but 2017 was a special case of errors where the Eagles had a lot of short fields that season because the defense was good, and he was on a team that was so good it won the Super Bowl without him.
Their roster was
super
incredibly
efficient
good.
Third down, super efficient in the red zone. That was just unreal that year.
I mean, if you guys want a Carson Wentz statistic, because you know me, guys, I love the statistics for these guys. Carson Wentz threw 15 passes with his left hand this season.
That's
he had a pretty good touchdown to interception ratio this season too, but ultimately he's the franchise quarterback. The Colts expected a lot of him, and when they asked him to carry the team, he fell short. Just look at the Jaguars.
He curdled in the Jacksonville Heat. I mean, the Khan family's team here has lost 29 of 33 games, and the Colts should have been able to roll in there and handle their business, and they couldn't get it done.
It's wild.
And that's kind of been the theme of Carson Wentz's career lately. He's not a finisher. Mainly because he doesn't usually make it to the finish line. 2017, the ACL tear. 2018, the injury. Foles came back in again, played the game against the Bears.
He was never the same after that ACL tear, wasn't he?
No, I've never felt like if you look at that season, he played like he does now, but he no longer has that edge athletically to make up for the play extension. He treats every play like it's a Hail Mary before the half. If Carson Wentz threw the ball away, he'd be miles better as a quarterback. 2019 it was with Indy. Not Indy, I'm sorry, I apologize. The Eagles. He got to the wild card round against the Seahawks and then immediately got hurt again. He didn't. That's 3 straight seasons with Philadelphia where he didn't finish the year on his feet.
We're not going to talk about what Clowney did on that play.
That was obviously a bit of a fluke. What happened there? Because Clowney, destroyed him. And then in 2020 he got benched because he led the league in interceptions. And then this year he wasn't great either. He wasn't as bad as his worst year in Philly, but you look at Wentz's career, that's, 4 or 5 consecutive bad seasons to the one good one, and you got to think of it as the outlier, as the fluke. In Washington, today we saw lost Brandon Scherff to Jacksonville, and we will get to Jacksonville in a moment overall.
We will get to Jacksonville.
A whole lot of cuts in Washington. I don't know what that's about.
Exactly.
It's
Washington,
really weird. Are they tanking?
Lost Scherff to free agency yesterday, and then they cut today. I saw Landon Collins, Eric Flowers, and the big one, Matthew Ioannidis.
Why?
Eric Flowers, nothing special, but a decent guard, and with the way the NFL's O-line play is, decent guard is something I think everybody wouldn't mind. Landon Collins was washed. He's not Landon Collins anymore, I don't think. But Matthew Ioannidis is a good defensive tackle.
Very good.
I mean, if they're planning something,
it makes sense. A team would have traded for him?
Look at Amari Cooper.
I don't know if they were shopping him. I don't know if they were shopping him, but
apparently the Commanders did shop him, and they just couldn't get something back they wanted, either because the asking price was too high, or people really
they just knew that he was going to get cut.
I mean,
they cut him. They cut him so late too. It feels like they kind of screwed him.
Yeah, I mean,
it was day 3 free agency when they cut him.
What was it, like 2 hours before the new league year? I mean, it was right up at the buzzer there.
Yeah, and it was yesterday when they cut him, wasn't it?
They cut Ioannidis at the time of the recording earlier today, so right before
the
league year rolled over.
Wow,
yeah, it was today.
Really okay. I've totally lost track of all time and space.
Yeah, I mean, because it's just been moving so fast for the past week.
Yeah.
There's new information every 3-4 hours. But yeah, no, it was earlier today at the time of the recording here.
It was day 3 free agency, and they cut him. Like, that's just.
I mean, there are 31 teams that are probably going to make at least one phone call. He's a talented player. He's hurt
Yeah.
this year. I don't know that he's prime Matthew Ioannidis, but I certainly think he's worth having on a lot of teams unless something has changed massively.
I would have liked
But
to see the Rams take a shot on him, but or not the Rams, the Chargers. Sorry, but
LA, I got you.
they already signed their D tackles, so they don't really need him now.
Yeah, Brandon Sebastian Joseph Day, from the Rams. I think that's probably what you were thinking of there.
That's what I. That's
got
why
wires
I
crossed.
wires crossed.
But, the Chargers opened free agency though by signing J.C. Jackson. Fantastic move there. J.C. Jackson.
This is my favorite signing.
Yeah, no, I understand that. J.C. Jackson is an elite corner. They paid a good price for him, but not an egregious one in my opinion. I think it was 8 interceptions last season. JC is fantastic, and along with Asante Jr., the Charger secondary with Derwin over the top is getting better again. And you want a hot take for the hot take Bible? I think I'll put the second one up there right now.
All right.
I think the Chargers are a good draft from going to the Super Bowl this season. I think they're ready.
Man, the roster's ready, but is their coaching staff ready?
Out of nowhere. I mean, was Zach Taylor ready?
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I
guess so.
And
Yeah,
Brandon
that's a
Staley
good
is better
point.
than Zach Taylor. I'll say that. Is that a hot take too? I'll say it, but
sometimes you just need things to break your way. And
you're too hard on Zach Taylor. I don't hate him.
I don't like him. Listen, like Cincy had to catch a lot of breaks to go to that Super Bowl. You have to be good to make it to the Super Bowl.
Every team has to catch breaks to go to the Super Bowl. That's how it
most
works.
teams don't. Most teams
Cincy
don't.
got a lot of breaks.
They got a lot of breaks.
Most teams don't have
they
Tennessee
beat the Chiefs.
as most teams.
I mean,
don't
it
have
runs through Kansas City and they beat them. So
most teams don't have Tennessee as the 1 seed as their opening matchup, so they get to play against 3-pick Tannehill, who's vastly overrated. Yeah, it's like the Philly Super Bowl, and I'm not going to get all the way into that, but they had some luck that Aaron Rodgers was out that season. If he plays, they never win that championship.
But they played the Aaron Rodgers, like they played Mahomes, and they beat him.
And they won, and they beat him twice. No, I mean,
they beat him twice.
It's impressive. I mean, they were 1 quarter from winning that Super Bowl too.
Also fair to say, like the Chiefs beat themselves that game.
That is fair to say.
Mahomes had an astronomical breakdown for his standards.
That's because the Chiefs don't run the ball. We could go play by play on that if we need to. The Chiefs play
Trevor
calling
himself didn't even have himself a good game. Didn't during their championship game, didn't Burrow throw like an atrocious pick to like?
He did.
As I remember correctly, he did.
One of the Chiefs players just need.
Well, I mean, even then, if Mahomes did have play like he did in the second half, if Andy Reid didn't Kellen Moore himself and run that screen to Tyreek Hill with no timeouts left, the Chiefs would have gotten a field goal and won the game outright. But there's no reason to really to go back.
We
may do that at some point.
We're going down the rabbit hole here.
That's not today's discussion. Is the AFC Championship game certainly. But to bring back up to Jacksonville, where Brandon Scherf went from the Washington, I actually do like that signing, and this will end the Jaguars praise portion of the show. That one sentence because they were spending. And their GM, Trent Baalke. John, you're acutely aware of what Trent Baalke can do to an organization from his time in San Francisco.
The original Great Pretender.
The original Great Pretender, yes. Guys, I think Christian Kirk is fine. I appreciated him coming out of the draft as a prospect.
He's fine.
I think he's worse than Michael Gallup personally.
Yes.
Yeah. He is now, due to what Tennessee did that we'll get into in a moment, the second highest paid receiver in the National Football League.
Oh my goodness. That still sounds just absolutely
Christian
insane.
Kirk was never utilized as a wide receiver one that much in Arizona.
And
I
even when he was, he still couldn't get 1,000 yards.
He better reach that ceiling for their sake.
Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but typically you got to get 1,000-yard season before you get paid like you're the best receiver on earth. I mean, there's outs in it. Like I saw some Jags fans talking about how they liked. It's not that bad because there's some outs in 2 years with like only $10 million in dead cap. If your only justification for your big day one free agent signing is we can get rid of him very quickly, you know that the signing was a mistake. The team also signed, I believe it was Zay Jones for 3 years, $30 million at like $10 million per.
This is my least favorite signing. Like this, oh my goodness.
Zay Jones?
Yeah, this actually low-key is worse than the Christian Kirk
because he's a far worse player. I mean, it was pointless. I'm sorry. I want to try to play a devil's advocate here, but to bring up my favorite signing really quick, my favorite signing for agency, DJ Chark, who was with the Jags, who is very good, went to Detroit for 1 year, $7.5 million.
Hasn't DJ Chark had 1,000-yard season?
DJ Chark has both had 1,000-yard season and a Pro Bowl appearance. Zay Jones has had neither of those things and just got paid more on a longer deal for the team that let DJ Chark leave. DJ Chark is going to be fantastic this season for the Lions. Brad Holmes, their GM there, he took over last offseason as the GM of the Lions, and he might be my favorite general manager in the NFL. He has not missed to this point. If the Lions are to ever be good in our lifetimes, it'll be because he has handled this roster to perfection since taking over. And so the Jags
mess it up.
He can still mess it up, and
Malik Willis is waiting in the wings at number 2.
Buries the lead on when we eventually do a fantasy draft up on here. But yes, if the Lions take a quarterback early this season, I will remove all of the effusive praise I have given to this man. But to get back to Jacksonville, to get to the other cat team that we were talking about here, I like the Scherf signing, like I said. Oluwakon's a good linebacker, but they cut Miles Jack today. I just don't get it. Pittsburgh signed him immediately because of course they did. He wasn't ever going to sit long. He's a good player.
Miles Jack is a terrific modern NFL linebacker.
Yeah.
Coverage.
If the knee holds up, I mean, I know there's some concern about the tread on the tire there. He didn't have a great season, but no one in Jacksonville had a great season. They lost a lot of games again. I'm not sure he'll return to his best form, but I certainly don't think it was necessary to release him. If it was a cap casualty, then don't use that much of the cap the way they did. I don't think Trent Baalke's long for Jacksonville, and moreover, I think he's leaving, landmines for whoever comes in to replace him that are going to be hard to deal with.
Claymores, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it's unreal. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is being handed a deck that he didn't deserve here. I mean, you look at the Jags heading into last season, and you see what I think is one of the premier chances to really put an organization together. You've got the number 1 pick in the Trevor Lawrence draft that's been talked about for 3 years in preparation that this guy is going to be a franchise quarterback and a second first rounder in that class. And what he does is take Lawrence, which is the right pick, of course, and then uses that first rounder on a backup running back.
That also gets injured and misses the entire season.
Yeah, universe out of spite for making the wrong pick there. And then James Robinson himself, I believe, tore his Achilles at the end of the season, so now they're 2 in the hole on that. C.J. Henderson, the corner they took in the first round the year prior, they traded for a journeyman tight end who scored no touchdowns this past season, and Dan Arnold. They brought in Urban Meyer, who was such a disaster he couldn't make it to the halfway point of the season. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke what happened in Jacksonville, and this today was a further continuation of the fact that the Jags just don't know what they're doing.
This is just a prime example of how bad teams continue to stay bad.
Yeah, the gap widened this year. This was a free agency period where the bad teams proved why they are bad, and the good teams got better. However, a team that I think is pretty good, certainly.
Oh, could I say somebody? There was a tweet that I saw about the Jags, and they said, "Wow, if they had a stud at 33, the Jags will have a top 30 wide receiver room in the NFL."
Oh, man,
it's ridiculous. Like they literally they went into free agency with bottom 10 O-line and a bottom 3 wide receiver group, maybe bottom 1. Once they got rid of everyone.
Let me spin this real quick.
And then they came out with a bottom 10 O-line and a bottom 10 wide receiver group.
I mean, let's look at it like this. I mean,
what are you doing to help Trevor here?
Brandon Scherf is a good sign. He's a good lineman.
Yes, but it's one.
They tried. I mean, you can only do what. I mean, Teron Armstead maybe, but I think he's waiting on the Deshaun Watson situation. But yeah. I mean, you look at the receiver. I'll ask you this: if I gave you the choice of last year, you can have DJ Chark, Marvin Jones, and Laviska Shenault, or you can have Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones, and Zay Jones.
How is that any better?
It's worse.
This is a side grade, but way more expensive.
It's more expensive and there's less potential in it. I don't like it at all. Yeah. I really don't. Things I also didn't like was Randy Gregory signing with the Cowboys and then not signing with the Cowboys.
This Cowboys had some offsetting language compared to their contracts in the team.
This broke weird. So it broke that Randy Gregory had signed with Dallas. Randy's agent talked about how Jerry Jones' relationship with him was a big reason he was staying. The Cowboys posted to all their socials that he had re-signed. And then all of a sudden it's reported that he's actually signing with the Broncos. And then the Cowboys are deleting the tweets while the tweets are still up from the agent about him signing, and it all broke and it ended up going to Denver. So what happened was, as the best, least biased version of this that I can summate from every side, is that Jerry called up Randy the night before the deal came down, and they had a big negotiation, and Randy came around to the deal and liked it. And then when the deal was being finalized, Stephen Jones was making sure to insert the behavioral clause the Cowboys have in all but one of the team's contracts. The one exception is quarterback Dak Prescott, about violations of the league substance abuse policy voiding the contract. Randy Gregory took issue with this and took essentially the exact same deal in Denver from the Dallas deal without that language in it, is the best summation of that I can come up with. So on the one hand, if they really did, sprinkle this in at the end, that's not a way to do business. It really isn't. On the other hand, the Cowboys are more than justified in being trepidatious about Randy Gregory behaving himself. I mean, this is a guy that has missed 2 full seasons of his career due to suspensions.
These were weed suspensions, correct? Which
I
is no
believe
longer
so. Well, there's
which is no longer an issue.
Never specifically said, but we can make it's a fair to assume.
It's fair to assume they were all weed related, which is no longer an issue.
No, I mean, but
NFL, any problems in Denver?
Yeah, no, he'll be fine in Denver.
No, I mean, it's I don't think we can rule out that he was smoking weed with the Cowboys this year. I don't think we can rule that out because they weren't testing.
He probably was.
I think this was just a breakdown of communication. It's a real shame because I liked Randy a lot as a player. But if this was Jerry just not putting that in there when they were talking, and then Steven sprinkling it in late to try to correct it, that's good.
He seemed extremely pissed.
I get it.
Once he learned about the language in the contract.
But Randy has got to protect himself here too. This could be that the agent just misfired on this and brought it up late, and they didn't talk about it. I'm not going to say that the Cowboys are blameless, but I certainly don't necessarily think that Randy Gregory has to be a saint here. But it's a shame to lose him. I was hoping that we'd keep him, and once we didn't keep him, I was hoping we would get Von Miller, who went to the Bills. And then I saw the price tag, and I no longer mind that we did not get Von Miller. Signed a 6-year, $120 million contract with the Buffalo Bills. Von Miller is 33 years old. Even with years at the end of this contract being fake,
I believe the final 3 years of this contract are essentially fake.
This is expensive. And 3 years is still kind of a long contract, I think, for Von Miller. I mean, he'll be 36 at the end of the real part of the deal.
Yeah.
Be that as it may, good for Buffalo. They've never really had an edge rush in the past.
They've never gotten like that premier, that premier edge
Buffalo's
rusher.
invested
edge rushers in a couple drafts. Ended up
Buffalo has invested high assets in the D-line. They've taken Ed Oliver, AJ Epinesa, and Gregory Rousseau all to try to fix the defensive line. Von is a proven commodity, and he should be easily the best player they have at that spot.
Most of those edges they took ended up just being players who set the edge for the run.
Now
they get a premier edge rusher.
It'll help, certainly.
The price tag is very steep, but I still like this deal. They're trying to win a Super Bowl right now, and this is what you need to do.
I like the player. It's more expensive than I would have liked Dallas to spend, but I do like it for Buffalo. And they're just let's go in there, and let's beat Kansas City. I mean that's what this is.
Yeah.
Let's beat Kansas City.
Look who just won the Super Bowl going all in, the Rams. NFL's a copycat league. It's no surprise.
For sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is the team saw what the Rams did and they want that.
Yeah, I mean teams are going to be more aggressive here.
Yep.
And I get that. Or you can just trade your best receiver to the Browns for a 5th round pick. No reason you should do that. We didn't talk about it last week, guys.
We don't
do that here. The Cowboys, the Amari Cooper situation, there was questions. They said they were going to cut him, then a week passed and nothing happened. It was movement. Maybe they'll trade him, maybe they won't. They're probably going to trade him, and then finally, there was the trade. The Cowboys sent Amari to the Browns for a 5th round pick. I get it. I mean, it's expensive, but
it's a cap casualty.
It's a cap casualty, but it's not one we needed to do. Restructures make more sense. I don't know if they have a plan to sign somebody. Maybe they knew that Tennessee was going to release Julio, and they want to do that. Maybe they're going to sign Juju for cheap, and they think he can replace the production.
Maybe they just draft a guy.
They just draft a guy, but this is on paper. We got worse, and we've yet to do anything to get better. It's been a few.
Could have been voided in my perspective had you guys not signed Zeke. But I understand from the Cowboys' perspective, Zeke
Like
is what sells you guys tickets. You guys put him all over your promotional material. It would be hard to sell that to the fans. Get rid of him.
It would be hard, but
Well,
it's been shown time and time again. Like when teams invest heavily in a
After
running back, it
every
never
2
pans
years.
out.
Well,
It
you know
never
what's
pans out.
well, the
Look at
funny
the
thing
Saints
is,
now. They got that Alvin Kamara thing looming.
at the time of the signing, Elliott had just led the league in rushing 2 of the previous 3 years, and the 1 year he didn't was the suspension year. Elliott's one of my favorite players of all time, so it took a while for me to separate myself from this one. But yeah, I mean, paying him ended up hurting the team. The fact of the matter is, he's too expensive for a running back when he's been banged up and hasn't been as effective as he was to start his career. And it hurts to lose Amari like this. But I'll say this, guys. To Matt's point about running backs not paying off, there's a decent argument that of the recent crop of running backs to get extensions, Elliott's the one who's panned out the best, and that's not a glowing endorsement.
Eventually, they all start breaking down. I mean, look at Christian McCaffrey the past 2 seasons.
I mean, you look at
There you
McCaffrey, you look at Henry, you look at Kamara. I mean, since the extensions all signed, I think Elliott's the one who's missed the fewest games.
R's been hurt. Derrick Henry got hurt this season. I fear that it's just starting for him.
Could be. Although it just felt like that one to me felt like a freak injury, not really workload related. But
you see, Matt, you say that, and I wish I could go with you on it, but the volume, I've seen it too many times. I've seen them do it to LaDainian. I saw them do it to Sean Alexander. I saw them do it to Larry Johnson. You just can't take 350 carries a year and them not break you down. 303 in 2019, 378 in 2020. He got 219 in 8 games. He was on pace for 440 carries this year. You can't do it. It can't. Nobody but Emmitt Smith could take that workload without breaking down. Having some technical difficulties here, everyone. Apologies for that. But wherever I was here, so Amari Cooper, the trade here. Yeah, I mean the running backs thing. It's unfortunate the way this all breaks down with the running backs. But it hurt us. It hurt us having Elliott on the books because it cost us Cooper. I hope we can replace the production. The NFC certainly didn't get any better, so hopefully the regression around us can help make up the slack a little bit. But he's a guy that you hate to lose. And as you hate to lose, of course, you know, the protagonist of football, of this life, as we lose, he gains. And Tom Brady is back yet again for season number 23.
He just won't go away.
He won't leave.
He just won't
left
leave.
For 40 days. And much like the flood, he determined that was not fun. And he came back. And he is likely bringing back Gronk.
Isn't it funny? It's like cosmic. Like 40 days.
Yeah,
like,
no, I mean
he's actually football Jesus.
Yeah, no, he leaves and then he comes back and then he signs Russell Gage, and they bring back Brashad Perriman, and then Belichick trades him Shaq Mason for no reason.
For no reason.
They operate differently than everybody else.
I said earlier, Jason Light is literally playing like GM on easy mode.
If you were Tom or associated with him, the organization, his team, and well, you share the same properties as Tom. You know, you got that rabbit's foot 4-leaf clover stuck up your you know what.
No, this is how Brady operates. You know, for the Chargers fans, the Marlon McCree, you know, interception on 4th down, fumble recovery, New England. That's Tom's career in a nutshell. That one play. This is more of it. Brady comes back and everything comes up Tampa. Gronkowski said today he's likely to come back. We know you're coming back, Gronk.
He's coming back.
You're not going to go play with Burrow when Tom's a choice. When Tom wasn't an option, you were considering somebody else, but Tom's an option again. I mean, they're going to win the NFC. I'm not going to,
when Tom wasn't an option, he was going to retire. Like, let's be real.
No, I think when Tom was an option, he was like, oh, hey, not Tom, is what he would have called Joe, and he would have signed with them.
Just for fun, for a year.
Yeah. But no, I mean the Buccaneers are back immediately back up in the top 3 in the NFC, probably top 1.
Top 1.
Yeah, I mean
they completely got their O-line back, not with the same personnel.
I mean,
but
they lost Kappa. They've got to replace Kappa.
They have to replace one guard, and they have four other
probably
starters.
The best division in the NFC got a lot worse.
Yeah, the West lost Russell Wilson. The Rams lost Von Miller and Sebastian Joseph Day, so the D-line is getting worse around Donald, and he is the Homelander, certainly. but he needs help. I mean, he's better when he has help. We've seen that. And the Cardinals, Kyler Murray's had his whole thing. They lost Christian
Okay.
Kirk. Chandler Jones signed with the Raiders today to go to the AFC West. So, I mean, I think San Fran win that division next season. I do think the 49ers win that division. And then Tom's going to do what he always does. John, I'm sorry. I think it's going to happen to us too. I think that Brady's the old man comes around and he's going to go either if he doesn't get number 8, he's going to get really close.
Least surprising thing ever. I mean, if anybody would come out of retirement, it's
did anybody buy that?
song.
I didn't buy it. I never bought that he was gone for good.
It's hard to say. Like I kind of bought
people
it for
just kept asking him
minute.
personally. He would never give a definitive answer. It was always maybe.
I guess I couldn't believe because he had said 45 for so many years that he would retire at 44 short of it. I'm not sure if that's what bothered him. I'm not sure if the meme, that being home with the kids bothered him. I
think actually being home with the kids bothered him.
It could be part of it. What I suspect happened is that he bothered Giselle enough for 40 days that she was like, fine, one more. Come on, go, leave.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, it probably came around the corner, like, Tom, what do you want to do today? Play football? Okay, that's the answer every day. Fine, go, leave. So, there's a part of me that will always love Tom Brady for 28-3, for all the great comebacks, for everything he's done, because he is the greatest player to ever live.
One could say Tom left early last season. I mean, rightfully, he should have won MVP. He had better stats than Rodgers.
He should have won the MVP.
I've come around on this. I've come around on this. I do think he should have won.
He should have. He might win it this year. I mean, there's no reason to assume he'll have fall off because the last time we saw him, he erased a 4-touchdown deficit.
With some help from Lady Luck, but
Okay, so he did what Tom Brady always does.
Yeah. Yes.
This was no different from any game Tom Brady has ever played.
Yes.
The only difference is that his defense failed him at the very end, which Belichick wouldn't have allowed happen. And that was the there's your Arians versus Belichick thing there. I'm surprised it's with the Buccaneers a little bit because I don't think that they have the best relationship, if I'm honest. Brady and Arians. But,
it's a little bit overblown.
When you're trying to win a ring, I guess things can be forgiven. One goal.
In speaking a bit of the NFC getting worse, the Bears, who are not a contender, have decided to make that very clear with their trade of Khalil Mack to the Los Angeles Chargers.
I totally understood this.
Yeah, no, this move made sense for the Bears. I mean, they're starting a rebuild. Khalil's expensive. The Chargers, man, they're going all in. They're going all in. I mean, if
what you should do when you have a rookie quarterback.
Exactly. This is what you want to do.
Well, look, there was some. I could feel some poison on those words there, John. Man, whoever finishes third in the AFC West will be one of the best teams to finish that poorly in a division in the history of this sport. I mean, that's a division full of really great teams, and the only team that isn't great is the Raiders, and they got Chandler Jones today. They got better. I mean, I don't even know. I'm running out of superlatives for that because
it's insane.
It's just an arms race.
I've never seen. It's a nuclear arms race. I've never seen anything like this.
No, I mean, and I still favor Kansas City because I'll always go to Mahomes in these situations just because he's unreal.
And I think the gap is narrowing.
Yeah, they're doing their best to.
His competition is stiff, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It really, really is. He is. The teams around him have realized. No, it's going to take. This is an Avengers level threat. We're gonna have to do everything we can to stop this guy. And the Bills aren't in the division, but they feel the same way. We got to stop him. You look at the Ravens today. They brought back Zadarius Smith. The AFC is
the road to the Super Bowl runs through Kansas City, and everybody is starting to act like it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be wild to see how they tear each other apart, and it's going to be wild to see playoff games next year, like Dallas versus Minnesota and San Francisco versus NFC Atlanta or something, as the NFC has the three teams with talent carve each other up, while the AFC over there looking like title fights. Just absolute craziness. And further craziness, the back half of the free agent market, I feel like here, because there's a lot of good players that haven't signed left. Ioannidis just got released, Michael Pierce, Julio Jones today, and Teron Armstead.
Austin Hooper got released from the Browns.
Austin Hooper, yeah, I missed that one. Austin Hooper, Teron Armstead, and I think everybody is kind of waiting here to see where the pieces to the Deshaun Watson situation fall. And this has been a tenuous situation for over a year now. And in the past week, this has really added a lot of chess pieces to the game here, with quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan, and even to some extent, I think Jimmy Garoppolo. There's so many moving parts here, guys. You could really attack this from whatever angle you wanted to. I'll start with this. If Deshaun Watson cares about success on the football field, he should pick the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the best option available to him.
Absolutely, and it sounds like he may not see it that way.
Yeah.
From recent accounts I'm hearing is that he's leaning Atlanta. I cannot stress enough how bad of a decision this would be from a football perspective.
Home is where the heart is, I guess.
I suppose, but I feel like when you're as wealthy as Deshaun Watson, you could afford to make any place as close to home as you want it. And in speaking, if he goes to Atlanta, and they are what I think they would be, I wouldn't mind him going there because I think they'd be bad. And I'm not personally a fan of Deshaun Watson in his dealings. I'm aware he was cleared of, criminal doing in the suits. The fact of the matter is, I think when you get to the volume of criminal accusations he's received, where there's smoke, there is fire.
Just like Shefty was forced to point out, cleared of criminal wrong, declining to charge does not mean you're innocent.
Yeah. You look at the famous court cases of the past 30 years.
Come on, Shefty.
I mean, Shefty was the guy who ran into the hospital to get pictures of Jason Pierre-Paul's blown off hand. I mean, Shefty.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know about this?
No, I didn't know about this.
Oh man. I'm glad JPP sued him. Like, this was a big deal. He broke like HIPAA.
Really?
Schefter leaked those pictures. Schefter leaked the pictures of Jason Pierre-Paul's blown up hand.
No shot, dude.
That's why we have those pictures, because Schefter leaked them against consent. I don't remember if he got them illegally or if he saw them with JPP and he posted them illegally. But this was a big deal.
No wonder Tom hates him.
Yeah, no, that was a big deal when that all went down, that he posted the pictures of Jason Pierre-Paul's hand after the fireworks.
Wow, I did not know about that.
I'm sure you didn't, because ESPN probably doesn't want you to know about that. They don't want you to know.
We do a little cover up.
We do a little money movement, as Chris Berman called Ben Roethlisberger a good guy, and the retirement tour he got. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, to the younger fans, Google it. So yeah, I don't like Deshaun Watson. But from a purely football perspective,
but I don't hate the Falcons, so I wouldn't really want him to completely ruin the Falcons forever.
No, I hate the Falcons.
Why do you hate them?
They took a tight end to start the rebuild. I mean, that's enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
For that not happening.
It's just, I don't think Atlanta knows what. I really do believe this. I don't think Atlanta has known what to do since that game in February 2017.
They're drifting aimlessly.
They really are a ghost. They are a ghost of a team since 28-3. They just make these moves.
Is like my greatest fear is that that's what's going to happen to us.
It's possible, but you got to trade Russell Wilson. They didn't get to trade 28-3 for 2 first-round picks. They just had to sit in it.
Sure.
But I mean, they just extended Jake Matthews. All right, he's solid tackle. I mean, their cap situation was so bad that Julio had to go, and Matt Ryan, is making a lot of money for the next 3 years to be on this roster that has no receivers because Julio you traded. Justifiably so, because he got released by the Titans, and Calvin Ridley, who is, banished for the next 365 days.
Just 1,500,
Yeah, they lost Russell Gage, who isn't good, but they lost him to Tampa Bay, and I'm going to be honest, unless Tajay Sharp is there, I'm not sure who's on that roster. Maybe Olimidier Zaccheaus. Laquan Treadwell, I think, was there at one point. I honestly couldn't tell you. And Deshaun Watson, if he were to go there, the roster is bad. It's not no, it is bad.
It's bad. One of the worst.
The running game was held up by a gadget kick returner last season who is never going to replicate that production. If that's a hot take, I'll put it down, but I don't think it is that Cordell Patterson was a flash in the pan. The receiving core.
Why there's a reason he has had no interest in free agency thus far, despite his.
The receiving core is literally comprised of players that I do not know if there are anybody under contract at all. The tight end room is Pitts, who is good. I think Pitts is a great player. I think he was a massive mistake for a team that had a chance to get a generational building block at right tackle or left tackle with Penei Sewell, and instead got a skill position when they were dying. and they continue to die as we saw this offseason. On defense, Grady Jarrett's getting old. Marlon Davidson's all right. Deion Jones is still solid. Aluakon is gone.
How
And
many of these are going to be trade pieces? Is the question.
I mean,
if
who
he
do you
actually
want?
goes there.
I mean, Deion Jones
Exactly.
has to be, right?
The Texans
Deion
are
Jones?
rebuilding. They don't want old players.
No, they're not going to want a Jake Matthews. They might not even want a Chris Lindstrom. I mean, would it have to be Pitts? I feel like Deshaun's not going to waive the no trade clause if he doesn't at least have Pitts. So it has to be
Watson going to a lot of teams would make them favorites or close favorites. Going to Atlanta, not so much.
It makes them worse, like you
said
said earlier.
I said earlier, yeah, in one of our group chats, that to speak to Atlanta's roster, this is the only situation, maybe in league history, where a 26-year-old superstar quarterback going to your team actually makes you further from being a contender.
I think the same is true with the Panthers. Like,
where the Falcons finish this year?
That's a good question.
They're picking
I want to
so
say
not
they
good.
finished 6-11. Do not quote me on that. I'm gonna check really quickly here to see how Atlanta finished this season. The Falcons finished
with
this
Deshaun.
year 7-10. 7-10.
Okay, so with Deshaun, quarterback's important, but you'd be sacrificing so much. Going from Matt Ryan to Deshaun would maybe give you 2 or 3 more wins
at most.
But you're also taking away probably a Deion Jones, probably a AJ Terrell, maybe. I mean, I don't think they would want to trade him, but to get Deshaun Watson, you might have to. Aluakon is already gone. Team's a year older. Receiving core is somehow even worse. Cordarrelle's gone. I mean, I think you're probably losing maybe 5 wins on the roster. You bring in Deshaun to get 3 back. I think you finish worse than he did this year.
Even if they were to maintain those 2 to 3 wins for the next, 3 years, depending on how much they have to sacrifice for their future. I mean, they're going to be stuck there. It's going to be a form of purgatory.
Even if they get Deshaun for, even if they get
purgatory,
even if they get Deshaun for
never being bad enough.
Even if they get Deshaun for just picks, even if they can keep the roster together, that means they're trading the picks. They're not going to improve, and they have to improve because they are bad. I mean, if you just plop even without any trading anything, if you just plop Deshaun Watson onto this roster, you got no receivers, and there's not enough money there. Because you have to do something with Matt Ryan, and you can. A team should take on Matt Ryan in that case, but
for like $48 million.
I mean,
it did cap from moving on from Matt Ryan. I mean,
it's unreal.
It's unreal.
The Falcons are radioactive waste. They need to.
They are. I mean, and here's the thing, guys.
Need to let them decay.
It's been 17, 18,
Their half-life
19,
is
20...
like U-235. It's like 10,000 years.
Yeah, I mean, 17, 18, 20, 21. Guys, we've had 5 full seasons now since Super Bowl 51. And the Falcons have made no discernible changes, not even positive or negative. They've lost players, but, I mean, what has changed here? AJ Terrell? I mean, that's it. And Kyle Pitts. They've got 2 players in 5 seasons of note.
This team could tank for 10 years straight and still be bad.
I think so. I think they might be a decade away.
You have to give up blue chip players possibly, and then you don't have any draft picks, so you can't replenish them.
No draft picks, yeah. So this team could be bad for 20 years, like with Deshaun on it.
I mean, let me ask you this, guys. I mean, is there a team that in that amount of time has seen this little turnover? I mean, you look around that roster, and Matt Ryan's still the quarterback for now, obviously. Jake Matthews, Deion Jones, Aluakon until recently. I mean, a lot of the pieces are just still there because there's nothing else to be done with it. They're just wandering around, the Falcons.
Yeah, just aimlessly.
I mean, in 5 seasons, the only interesting players of note to bring in are a rookie tight end from this past year and AJ Terrell. It's kind of creepy almost how the Falcons have done nothing since that game.
It's haunting.
Yeah, it's a good word for it. It's haunting. And best of luck to Arthur Smith for trying to figure out how best to parse through this.
Yeah, and for and for hopefully one day not looking like a Neanderthal.
All right, Matt's leading us into the personal attacks segment of Great Pretenders here. What was it trying?
You know what he looks like?
What does he look like?
He looks like Jared Goff from the future.
He does look like Jared Goff from the future. It is the age filter Jared. I see that a little bit.
Wow, I've never thought about it, but that is
insanely
accurate.
That's
explains a lot.
That is apt. That explains a lot. But yeah, it's so, I mean, yeah, the Deshaun trade makes them worse. But that being said, I do pity Matt Ryan, and I would like to see him play somewhere else, this trade or
Man
not,
does
because I
not
think he
deserve
deserves a
this.
chance to not. I mean, he deserves a chance to succeed or fail. He doesn't deserve to just be in an organization that isn't doing anything. So New Orleans as a possibility for Deshaun as well in their division with Atlanta. So the Saints are this weird team because nobody else operates quite the same way the Saints do. Where the Saints have determined that the salary cap is to be ignored. We're just going to sign these big contracts, and then we'll push the money around into the future on them, and then we'll just kind of keep doing that. And every year the Saints get this crazy number over the cap of like 80 million, and then they get back down underneath it. Everyone's like, "Oh, Mickey Loomis is a cap god.
He's a genius, man.
He's a genius."
This
But
is like
here's
the meme
thing.
everyone talks about.
Here's the thing people have to realize. Cap compliance does not equal good roster construction.
Correct.
This is correct. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Saints. Oh, Loomis is a genius. The cap is fake. The cap is fake. The cap is not fake. The cap can be circumvented.
It is
a lot of teams in the NFL managed to get cap compliant, otherwise they'd be fined.
Yeah, they'd be fined and they would start losing players. The problem with what New Orleans does is that it isn't working anymore. The Saints don't have a quarterback. They're still paying Drew Brees $12 million. They're likely to lose a franchise left tackle. They just lost Marcus Williams. They lost Hendrickson last offseason. The depth is gone. The receivers outside of Michael Thomas are terrible. The Saints are a great O-line, Alvin Kamara, and a good defense. Great defense. And Sean Payton's gone now, too. There is no reason to believe, outside of the perception, same thing with Seattle, perception, it's all perception, that whoever's replacing Sean Payton is going to be a wizard. And that's what Sean Payton is offensively. He is an offensive genius. No Sean Payton, no quarterback. The Saints, I think this is when the shoe drops. Unless Deshaun shows
Dennis Allen, right?
Yes, Dennis Allen, who failed miserably with the Raiders back in 2014,
yeah.
yes.
Vertical.
That
wasn't the Saints defense by any means, but still.
I mean, that was the pre-Carr era Raiders, so that was a toxic waste dump for sure. But he's not Sean Payton. I don't think he's Sean Payton. So I mean, you bring Deshaun to this team, and they are significantly better right away. But that adds a quarterback contract into this cap situation, and they'll be good for a year maybe, and then some of them will have to go. They will keep a good chunk of it because they can, but you can't really improve with this. You can just shuffle things around. And
I don't understand how they're even going to get cap compliant.
It would be a high-functioning Atlanta with Deshaun.
It would, yeah. I mean, that's really, the Saints are the best versions of the Falcons because they have a great offensive line, something Atlanta wasn't able to cultivate in that time.
If Atlanta had Deshaun, if Atlanta were to get Deshaun, it's not every day that you get maybe a top 5 quarterback and get worse. I think the Saints of Deshaun would manage to consistently pull around 11 wins maybe.
I think they make the playoffs every year, but I don't think they would have the talent to make a run unless Deshaun played like 2004 Peyton Manning for 6 weeks. So I mean, it would be an improvement. The Saints would be a better team, but I just don't know that the contender window is open. If Sean Payton was there, I'd be changing my tune because I think coaching matters distinctly, and Dennis Allen is a drop-off. I don't know if it's a massive drop-off yet, but it is a drop-off.
I don't see how this is a good move for them.
No. And so we mentioned that we'd like with that, from a football perspective, Deshaun to Cleveland does then make the most sense because they have the best roster and they're ready. But that's the least likely option from what it seems like. Deshaun doesn't want to go there. However, the Browns do have a quarterback right now who they seem to have alienated beyond belief by the fact that they do not want him. And guys, I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan, but it really does seem like the narrative on him has become cruel the past couple of days.
Yeah, people really don't like him, like on a personal level, it feels like.
He's kind of an extra a-hole.
A little bit.
Baker is definitely outspoken. He's very brash. But he's
braggadocious. He's known to be braggadocious.
You guys see what ESPN did today?
What? No, I did not.
Report of Chris Mortensen. When they were talking about...
was this the report about the Browns saying they wanted an adult at quarterback?
Yeah, they wanted an adult in the room, and then in the background, the video of their report, they have Deshaun playing, who did what he did.
Yeah,
very, very adult.
The spinning narrative there is so great. Yeah, Deshaun Yeah, Sean Watson is quiet. That's an adult in the room. Yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, if we talk about ESPN, that'd be too nice. But I mean, so on NFL Network tonight or earlier, Steve Smith said, "quote I get where Baker is coming from because I wear my emotions on my sleeve, but at least I've led the league in something other than crying." Close quote. I mean, these are just open pot shots. This is like the opening bits at the beginning of of Seinfeld episodes. What's the deal with Baker Mayfield? I mean, this is just rude. I've seen criticisms of play. These guys just clearly do not like Baker Mayfield at this point.
Yeah, it seems oddly personal.
I mean, it's in a foolish agenda, but leadership does somewhat matter in the NFL. That's why
Make
my
no
own
mistake about it.
team
I actually want the
values Jimmy
Browns.
Garoppolo.
I want the Browns to move off of Baker because I want to see Matt Ryan go to the Browns because I want him to succeed there, like Brett Favre with the 2009 Vikings.
Matt Ryan needs to go to a better competing team.
Yeah,
a la Cleveland or Indianapolis.
I'd like to see that.
Seattle.
Yeah, I'd like to see Matt Ryan, there. But I don't think Baker's a franchise quarterback by any means. He doesn't impress me. He's had stretches of games where he's looked good. He's just not been able to put it together long enough for me to feel completely convinced. That being said, again, maybe don't take pot shots at him. I think he's done enough to avoid being, turned into the butt of the joke. We have Daniel Jones for that. But to move past, Baker said his primary choice was Indiana. They're Indianapolis, more accurately, the Colts. I think he'd be well there. They have a great O-line, great running game. Except here's the thing: we've seen Baker with that already. It seems to have a ceiling.
It does have a ceiling, but were Baker to be healthy and trying to prove it, maybe off pure adrenaline, then he could get what Chris Ballard is looking for, a playoff berth. That would allow him and Reich to possibly survive for another year, and maybe get one of those 2023 quarterbacks, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young.
Yeah, those guys look a lot better than this class. Not a fan of this one, and that would be bridging the quarterback with Baker is a good idea. My only concern would be that
I'd like that.
Implying that they would have to trade up Niners style for Lance.
Of course.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of competition for those guys, by the way.
So Matt, you said you're interested. My concern would be...
I've talked myself into it.
I'm going to ask you... I understand that. I have a concern. I'm going to ask if you would. My concern would be that you end up... And obviously your front office would consider this a win. I think that us who have an idea of what NFL quarterbacking should be would find this appalling. Are you concerned that you would get Tannehill, that they would fall in love with a decent season and give him a big extension?
It's a little bit concerning. It just depends. Mostly, I'm not that concerned because our roster is nowhere. Right? Yeah,
Baker Mayfield, correct, yes.
Our roster is just nowhere near as good as Cleveland's. Cleveland has almost no holes at any position. They have depth everywhere. And we are with the Seahawks. We have
I've said in passing, somewhat jokingly, that the Browns have the best roster since the 07 Patriots. You're not there. I think you're better off today than you were yesterday, but you're definitely not there.
We're not even close to what the Browns have built.
For sure. So I brought up Jimmy G, and I could feel based on that biting comment earlier, and just by your demeanor in the chats as of late, that
looking for an adult in the room.
Looking for an adult in the room. I'm looking for John Lynch because he seems to have disappeared here in free agency.
Why? Yeah, my man froze. Hasn't moved for 40 minutes.
So why is Garoppolo still there? I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Why is Jimmy G still on your roster?
Well, it seems that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch seem to have this warped perception of Jimmy Garoppolo that no one else seems to have to, and that, they traded for Jimmy Garoppolo back in 2017, second round pick, and he rattled off a bunch of wins. And they're giving him a contract.
I believe he put 45 on the 2017 Saxonville Jags defense.
And then Jimmy G led you to 2 NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl appearance. So that's what Jimmy G got you. There's your ice cream. But now John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan seem so intent on trying to win the trade. You already have the main course. You don't need that cherry on top. Jimmy G, much as I don't like him, he brought some respect back to the franchise in terms of quarterback play.
Jimmy G was successful. He wasn't good, but he was successful.
The Niners hadn't seen consistent average quarterback play in a while.
No, if you
And
look at the jamokes between him and Kaepernick, it's a worst of the worst.
yes, but Kaepernick, although I'm a fan of him and believe what he did was right, there are fans out there who disagreed with the way he reclused himself from the team.
My biggest issue with Cap is his completion percentage never improved, but I think he's worthy of an NFL roster spot. At least he was.
But yeah, Jimmy G, he got the franchise enough wins. I mean, you trade a second round pick for that, and he got you all those wins. That should be a victory in its own. You don't need this cherry on top. Like, there's no reason Jimmy Garoppolo should be on the roster. The 25 million cap we can get from letting him go or just trading him for something, but it's far more. We're far more than trying to get a 2 for him.
Yeah, I mean, a J.C. Jackson, a Von Miller, a Chandler Jones. I mean, you could have signed a Christian Kirk. You could have gotten Christian Kirk with that money.
You don't need to get more than you gave up to get Jimmy in order to say you won the whole Jimmy trade. You guys won a lot of games of Jimmy.
The transaction
don't need to get back something more in return.
The transaction was won the minute you laid the smackdown on Green Bay on the 2019 NFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, at that point, you've already accomplished the goal. Obviously, you want to win the championship, but at that point, you can say that it was a net positive as far as value. Let me say this, and I'm not as
earlier. One sec. You asked earlier why Jimmy G's still on the roster. Apparently, Matt Barrows, a writer who covers the Niners for The Athletic, said that the Colts and only the Colts are the only team interested in Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay. Indy could just be waiting to see how the Deshaun situation takes out because they might get Baker or Matt Ryan.
I suppose.
Where Deshaun lands is going to impact quarterback carousel movement in the NFL for years to come, wherever he lands.
Yeah, so I think everything's just kind of waiting for that shoe to drop.
So let me ask one more thing real quick here. And I'm not plugged into the situation at all, so I can't speak with authority. But I am curious. Is there a possibility that this is kind of like 2017 Mahomes, Smitty, that the Niners want Jimmy to be in Lance's headset this season, to have an extra quarterback coach of sorts on the sideline with the headset to help Trey Lance?
What would be the point of having another rookie in a rookie's headset?
Oof.
Oof, man. All right. Clearly, no love lost for Garoppolo as far as value on value provided. So I thought it'd be a fun one, guys. Seeing through here, because I think today is going to be a day that the Jags fans that live in infamy. They're not going to look back on this super fondly. They may look at the Christian Kirk contract down the line, and it'll cause them some pain. So I say this: what are the games or game, if there's only one, what are some games that keep you up at night to this day? What are the games that still kind of bother you when you think about them? Because I have a very simple answer for this one.
You can go first.
Yeah, no, I mean I
already know what your answer is.
There are painful playoff losses. San Fran this past year tore me up. I'm sure John is doing the Squidward with the party. Cha-cha-cha-cha.
Boo-hoo!
Yeah, boo-hoo! Boo-hoo, Cowboys! Boo-hoo! 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 Yeah, Rams 2018 was annoying. The Dez catch game, that's, that one's going to live on an NFL lore for just the blown call at the end. But Green Bay 2016, the playoff game, not the regular season game, of course, is a game that I didn't watch a highlight clip of for like 6 years after the fact. That game robbed me of my soul. There's a great video, if you can find it. There's a compilation of reactions of the Packers fans, not after that game, but after they lost this year, after Robbie Gould beat them in the divisional round. And there's one where the Packers fan guy watches the kick go through, and he just puts his head in his hands for like 45 seconds. And then somebody comes, "You okay, buddy?" He goes, "I'm sick to my stomach," and he doesn't move. And that was me in 2016. I sat on the corner of my.
Close to home.
It did. It was fun watching them be destroyed, and then I saw that guy, and I was like, I was there to a T. I sat in the corner after that game on my couch for like an hour, and didn't move after the 2016 division round because that was the one. We were going to go on the next week to play Atlanta, to beat Atlanta, and go to the Super Bowl and lose to the Patriots. This is the fate of every team in the NFC. and it felt like robbery. It felt like Aaron had stolen it. And I've watched clips of it today, and it still hurts. I wish it didn't. That game, it made me a more cynical fan.
Yeah, you say
it
mean, callous things to things now. Like not
yeah.
now. I mean, this is before I knew you, but like you, you're kind of mean.
The other,
It's all because of that game, isn't it?
well, I hope you realize that he. I hope you guys realize that he. I mean, in response to the other teams, not in general.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
other teams.
it took a combative nature. Every other team in the NFC is now an enemy outright. I need these guys. I like it when these teams do worse because this opens up our opportunities. And whenever, if ever, gotta go to if now that we are able to make it to the promised land that is the third round of the National Football League playoffs, maybe I'll feel better. But until then, man, that game will always bother me.
What about you, man?
Well, I mean, there's the obvious answer.
I mean, does 49 even bother you? I mean, honestly.
It's been a long time. I've made my
I
peace
wouldn't
with
even think it's
49.
time. I think the fact that the ending of 49 might be the most viewed clip in human history might have just dulled
It's
it.
sort of desensitized me to it for
Yeah.
sure. Obviously it was just utterly soul-rending at the time. But it's been a while, and it definitely doesn't hurt as much, especially since, at least once a week during, the regular season, you're probably going to see that clip.
You will see it. You will see it probably. I'd be surprised if it wasn't at least every single Sunday Night Football game with Collinsworth and Michael. We called some great ones, haven't we, Al? And Collinsworth pulls the clip up.
You pull the clip out. So, seeing that clip played over and over a million times definitely has desensitized me to the ending of that game. But it is hard to ignore that everything kind of began to unwind after that. I'm probably gonna say the worst one the worst loss that I've had to sit through was the 2015 divisional loss to the Panthers.
Oh, the big comeback game.
Yeah, the big comeback game that never was. Almost made it, and I think mostly because I was so dejected for the majority of that game.
It's I talk about the game as the forgotten comeback because it's like that's that Panthers team that was unbeatable that year.
Yeah,
and the
and
first
we
half of
almost
that game,
did it.
and the first half of that game is the same game they played all year. It was like 31-0. But
Yeah.
Russell just he
literally went Super Saiyan.
Like Eli. He stays even keel, and they just chip away, and they get it to 24-31.
Yeah.
And the onside takes a weird bounce at first, and I think it's Thomas Davis that pounces on it. And if he doesn't make a good play on that, I think Seattle might have recovered it. And can you imagine if they had pulled that off 2 years in a row? I mean, that would have been insane. But yeah, I remember that game. The final score looks like a bog standard playoff game. It was a lot more than that. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but you should go look for that, viewers, if you want to see a crazy comeback that almost pulled it off. But yeah, that answer makes a lot of sense.
It makes more sense not just from the result of the game, but the fallout. Because I think that's this.
That was the last time that most of the band was together.
If 2014, if 49 was the beginning of the end, this was like the next stage of the beginning of the end.
Yeah. You look. It's the thing is because you look at Seattle's decay, and it's over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive winning seasons after 49. But you see the pieces start to decay. Cam, Sherman, Earl Thomas, Brandon Browner, although that one ended up being a net positive for Seattle, considering he turned out to be a kind of a bad guy. Byron Maxwell. The cap tore it up. The personalities, maybe guys that good at that level were bound to clash no matter what. But the way that game ended on the goal line, that was it. I think we saw the decay in full force again in the Dallas playoff game in the wild card, where Seattle didn't seem to know what to do.
And we've had several playoff losses almost every year at this point since then. And none of them hurt. Mostly just because I got less and less surprised every year by the fact that we lose in the wild card or the divisional. It was just not surprising because I saw what the team was in the regular season, and you just notice the decay that a lot of fans just don't seem to really get.
Yeah, like we're
and
obviously
when you lose
we're
in
an
the playoffs, you
obsessive
get
level fan
exposed in the
base, and when
playoffs.
Seattle's winning 10 games a year, it's hard to say, oh, things are worse now. Like I do get that to some extent.
Yeah,
But
casual fans turn the game on every
and they
Sunday,
see Russell Wilson.
and they see Russell Wilson, and we win, like, at least we've been winning like around 10 games a season, if not better. And they're like, oh yeah, this is a well-run organization.
This is the Seahawks. They're just the
Yeah,
Seahawks.
this is a well-run organization. We're winning, and then if we get bounced in the playoffs, and then they'll be like, oh, that's fine. We'll be back next year.
Oh yeah, we just gotta get the break.
They don't see the issues.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily that. I mean, Seattle's has been good. I mean, like obviously, like this sustained success is what you want as an organization. But the fact that they won that championship has precluded the fact that they need to be better. Just because you were great doesn't mean you can't be better.
Yeah.
And if they were better, we wouldn't be here with the trade.
A lot of fandom is still coasting off of that. And they're in for a rude awakening when the bottom completely falls out.
It's what my Cowboys did with Aikman after the championships. Worth it to the Cowboys, and they haven't been the Cowboys since 1995. I hope for your sake that you're not in for just that long of a roller coaster down to the bottom.
But yeah, that's my answer. 2015. None of the other playoff losses after that were that surprising to me.
So, John, I'm going to have to assume your answer is the entire Chip Kelly season.
Has to be a single game, though.
Game that keeps me up at night. I've seen a couple painful games. 2013 championship game when Richard Sherman was yelling at me through my TV when I was a kid was pretty awful.
Yeah, that had
Ravens
to
Super
hurt.
Bowl loss is pretty awful. But I feel like the one that hurt the most is the most recent one because I was the most aware of football then. 2019 loss to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
54, yeah.
I mean, I rip on Jimmy a lot, but if you're there, you just want them to win the whole thing. Like, all will be forgiven. If you're there, just win it, man. And there were so many missed opportunities that game.
I gotcha.
The missed throw to Emmanuel Sanders, the
deflection,
the PI on Kittle. It was just during this one point in the game, I think the Chiefs were in range, or maybe they'd already scored, but I stopped watching by then. And then I heard that one of the Chiefs running backs, maybe it was Clyde.
I think it was Damian Williams. At the time.
It was Williams.
Yeah, Damian Williams ran in for a touchdown. I just it felt like I got stabbed. So I knew it was over.
Yeah, I believe it was 24-20, and then Williams breaks a 30-yarder to make it a 2-score game.
That was I felt like I got stabbed there.
Yeah, I don't I can't relate on this one, guys, just because we've not made it that far.
Like Revenge of the Sith, and all those Jedi are being killed.
Order 66.
Yoda drops his little walking cane.
Yeah, he feels it and he drops down.
Yeah, that was me when Damian Williams ran it in.
Oh yeah, no, I get that completely.
Yeah, so Caleb, you've always said that you just want them to get to the NFC Championship game. That's all you want, right?
Yeah, no, I've said
that
at this point, my standards have been lowered. I would like to see them win a divisional playoff game. Yes.
I think the problem is I don't know if you know how you would react to the prospect of losing an NFC Championship game, or even worse, losing a Super Bowl.
That's true. Well, so I don't know about you guys. I guess I'll pivot on this real quick. My reactions to losses are very different situationally. It doesn't happen often, but I really prefer when we get the brakes beat off us.
It's much easier to tune it out that way.
I'll take Denver over Arizona every time, because I don't have to spend my entire week thinking about the 4 plays that decided a close game. Every close game in the NFL, on both sides, you can look at the 4 plays that decided it. For Arizona, I can look back at the fake punt. I can look at the Isaiah Simmons fumble as the big two. That would have been. For San Fran, 4th and 11. If Dak has more time and we don't blow the protection, he gets it to Cedric for the touchdown, and we're ahead by a point. Or we don't hold. Or we do a little bit better, and there's a billion in that game. You can look at the little things you could have done better to change the outcome, and it's things that you've seen them do well before, and it bothers you they didn't in the exact moment you needed to win that particular game. In a blowout, okay, they were the better team all day, and you weren't ready. You can tune it out easier. You can, like you said, you can digest it because you don't have to worry.
That's being a blowout word, not for our friend Dear Jimbo, Refresh Italiano.
Dear Jimbo, Fresh Italiano. Mama, the tomato sauce is fair.
It's the Italian.
It's the Italian.
I throw at a football. I play for the San Francisco. Any Italians watching?
Cook at a spaghetti.
Cook at a spaghetti.
Oh, it's a good thing he's so handsome.
Cook at a spaghetti. Debo, you want a Parmigiano on the football? We are not nearly as funny as we think we are. All right, but with all that being said, this marks an ending to episode number 2 of The Great Pretenders. I hope you have enjoyed, and we will see you guys next time.